Physicalism is a fact of the world. Alright, let's break down physicalism in just 10 minutes. Physicalism is the ontological fact that everything that exists is physical, including thoughts. Meaning, at the end of the day, it's all made up of matter, space-time, which is physical thing, yes, space and time are physical things, energy, which is really just another word for matter, the laws of physics. If you can touch it, measure it, detect it in some way, it's part of the physical world. And according to physicalism, that's all there is. Let's look at some examples. Think about your brain. Physicalists say your thoughts, feelings, your sense of self. They all come from physical processes inside your brain. There's no extra invisible mind stuff floating around. Neurons firing chemicals, moving electricity, zipping through circuits. All things are part of the physical world, even the most obvious parts are just what we can detect. But even things no easily detectable by human senses like radio waves and space-time are physical and exist. Though they still have real physical effect on you, even if not easily sensed, like for example gamma rays causing cancer that may induce certain neurons to fire locally and give you strange sensation of that part of the body. Or take love. Physicalism says love isn't some magical force. Hormones, brain activity, evolutionary biology. When you fall in love, it's your brain doing its thing, not some mystical energy. Now, some people who stupid and delusional religious idiots or idealists believe in things beyond the physical, like souls, spirits, or supernatural forces. But these don't exist. And in physicalism, these things don't exist. The best trends in physicalist philosophy often come from hard science itself and Marxist materialism. Western physicalism is often dragged behind due to capitalist influence, religious dogma, and idealist corruption, partly caused by class society, partly by the immaturity of science. A fundamental problem with idealism and religious dualism is the dualist interaction problem. How can the mental interact with the physical if one is non-material and the other is material? The answer is, they can't. This is a deep, unsolved problem for idealist dualism and religious thinking. They have no real answers. The best they can do is move to monist idealism or something equivalent, which is slightly better but still false compared to monist materialism, which explains everything in physical terms and is true. We just have to look the empirical success of science to see that, which foundations are physicalism, materialism. According to reality of which physicalism is 100% true, souls are not real. Idealist and religious idiot like to pretend otherwise, but they 100% false and usually low IQ idiots. The can't prove or disprove argument is completely dishonest and false. Religious people throw around the can't prove or disprove thing because they cry baby low IQ idiots that attempt ring-fence their ideas. Using this, however, everything is subject to be proven or disproven, and hard science and physicalism disproves God. This is 100% truth. God doesn't exist, and if you think he does, you're idiot. That should be shot on the spot. God is proven to be false by the march of truth, physicalism, and hard science. To believe otherwise is to bury your head in the sand or to be very low IQ. Spirits are not real either. There are no supernatural forces, just the physical world. Physicalism says, show me the evidence. And evidence is 2,000 plus years of materialist and science rendering their explanation completely false. If it can't be measured or tested, it doesn't exist. There are things our human senses can't detect, but they're not beyond us. Humans use science and technology to extend our senses further. Physicalism and hard science have all the answers. There are only unknown physical system, no idealist or religious idiotic falsehood low IQ rubbish stuff. In fact, 500 years before Christianity existed, people were already rejecting the existence of gods. Materialist philosophers in 500 BC stated that the world was made of atoms and voids, showing how primitive and backwards the religion of Christianity was, even compared to the most advanced and accurate ideas of the time. Physicalism explains everything, even consciousness. For physicalists, consciousness is just another word for the brain, nothing more, nothing mystical. The nature of reality, that science is still exploring. Physicalism has already won, it's just a question of mowing the law and ridding the world of religious idiots and low IQ idiots. So next time you wonder if there's more to the universe than atoms energy, remember, physicalism says, nope, that's all you need. Physicalism is the truth, and all the answers lie within it. It is the foundation of science. Idealists like to pretend otherwise, but they are simply wrong. They engage in intellectual posturing and use long words that mean nothing. Physicalism is not just a theory, it is how the world really is. Religious and idealist worldviews are completely false. People often say you can't prove a negative, but that's not true. For example, if you open your drawer and see your phone isn't there, you've just proven a negative. It just means that in small search spaces, proving a negative is easy. In larger spaces it can be harder, but it's not impossible. Idealists like to pretend there are mysteries in the world, but there aren't. Physicalism and science explain everything. Any gaps in understanding are simply physical systems not yet fully understood, not true mysteries. The rest of physicalism's truth lies in the progress of modern science and the wealth it produces. Idealists like to bury their heads in the sand, pretending this doesn't exist. Often, Western philosophy is full of religious idealists who hate physicalism, and this is because of the prevalence of, well, a lot of people in the population who think long words that idealists write are true by virtue of being long words. However, this is just a fallacy. If you write false rubbish, it's false rubbish, no matter how fancy it sounds. If you want to understand physicalism better, The Nature of Things by Titus Lucretius is a good book. Other important works include Lenin's Materialism and Empirio-Criticism, Stalin's Dialectical and Historical Materialism, Engels' Anti-Düring, and Marx's essay on the difference between ancient atomist philosophies. Generally, if you read a school textbook in the West, you'll get basically physicalist answers to the world. If you want to understand consciousness, open a neuroscience book. It really is that simple. Idealists like to say 10,000 words of rubbish, and they are fundamentally anti-science. Most people who have a poor understanding of the world through physicalism generally got low grades in science and maths. Many studies back the case that religious people and idealists generally have lower IQ compared to atheist materialists. The Mary Room is a famous thought experiment in philosophy of mind. Imagine a scientist named Mary who knows everything about color from a scientific perspective, but has lived her whole life in a black and white room. The question is, when Mary leaves the room and sees color for the first time, does she learn something new? Physicalists argue that all of Mary's knowledge, including her experience of color, is ultimately physical. When she sees color, her brain processes new information, but nothing non-physical is involved. Hard science shows that seeing color is just the brain responding to new physical stimuli. No mystery, no magic, just neurons and light. Additionally, qualia doesn't exist. It is a fiction invented by idealist idiots. Everything is hard determined. The Mary Room problem is just a misconstrued problem. A, it requires a world with different physical laws, so questions of color sensation are irrelevant as they literally don't exist. B, if colors do exist, your brain and senses are perfectly able to process them. You're just using a fancy system to avoid seeing color-light photons. C, the Mary Room argument generally assumes idealism is already true, when it is false. Also, it's nearly impossible to set up such an experiment, and everyone knows the outcome. As soon as Mary steps out, the laws of physics allow her to see color, and always did. God also doesn't exist. End of. Atheism is 100% true. Religion is 100% false. The dearth of physicalists and science show us atheism is considered 100% true because there is no empirical evidence for the existence of any gods or supernatural beings, and they don't exist. God doesn't exist. All claims about deities or religious miracles fail scientific scruting as they long-proven false materialism/physicalism. All their assertion about the prediction they make if they were measured, tested or observed, and all be shown not to exist at all. If hypothesis and it prediction are false, it doesn't exist. God doesn't exist. Religion is seen as 100% false because its core claims rely on faith, tradition, and unverifiable stories, not on evidence or reason. Over centuries, science has explained natural phenomena once attributed to gods, leaving no need for supernatural explanations. Thus, physicalism and atheism hold that only the physical world exists, and all religious beliefs are human inventions without basis in reality. Hard determinism is 100% true. Every event, including every thought and action, is the inevitable result of prior physical causes. The laws of physics govern everything, from the movement of atoms to the firing of neurons in your brain. There is no room for free will. Your choices are simply the outcome of physical processes you do not control. Science shows that all behavior can be traced to prior causes, leaving no space for magical freedom of choice. Free will is an illusion. Hard determinism is reality. If we are to see the light of truth again, we must eliminate religion and idealism. In the USSR, they partly did this, and that's why they wrote the best philosophy on earth, fully materialist and grounded in reality.